Hello, I'm Jennifer and I'm 27 years old. When I was young, my parents died in a car accident, and I had no other family to take care of me. So I went to live in an orphanage. After 3 years, I was adopted by a wealthy couple. My adoptive parents were billionaires, so I had a very comfortable life. They didn't want a lot of attention about my adoption, so they kept it private. They preferred to help quietly. When I grew up and moved into my own place, my adopted parents decided to expand their business and traveled around Europe for new opportunities. During this time, I met Jack, who is now my ex-husband. We met in college and liked each other right away. Jack was cheerful and caring, and the more we talked, the more I liked him. Our dates eventually led us to become a couple. We had a great relationship, but there was one issue. Jack's family didn't like me. The first time I met them was right after Jack and I graduated from college. He waited until we both had good jobs and were settled in our lives before introducing me to his parents. Jack had warned me that his parents could be a bit judgmental about their children's partners, so he wanted me to make a good impression. I didn't mind, but I was very nervous about meeting them. By the time Jack introduced me to his parents, we had been dating for 4 years and were already engaged. I figured this might be a problem for his parents since they hadn't met me as his girlfriend. I remember being really worried about it and talking to Jack about my fears the day before we were supposed to meet them. "They're going to hate me, Jack." "They won't, I promise," Jack reassured me. "Don't you think they'll be shocked to find out we're engaged?" "Well, yeah, but I don't think it will be that big of a deal." "Are you serious right now? You were worried about introducing me to them because you know how judgmental they are, and you think introducing me as your fiancé won't make them judge me even more." "Look, even if they do, does what they say really matter? It doesn't to me, but I know you're always so careful about what they think." "I promise you that it won't affect or matter to me at all, Jennifer." "All right, if you say so. But do you think maybe we should just not tell them we're engaged and then like a month or so later, we should tell them? Would that make you feel better about this whole thing? Because I have no problem with either option." "I think we should hide it just in case. I'll do anything to get on their good side." "You have nothing to worry about. I'll be there with you no matter what." "Thanks, Jack." The reason I was so anxious was because every time I suggested Jack tell his parents about me, he made a big deal about them not approving. Now I understood why. Jack's family was very wealthy and loved luxury. They wanted the same for their children and only accepted their dating choices if they came from wealthy backgrounds, equal or richer than theirs. Compared to their lifestyle, mine wasn't rich at all. I hadn't told Jack about my family because I didn't see the point. When I finally realized why he was so insistent on keeping me hidden from his parents, I felt it was even less necessary for them to know about my background. I wanted them to like me for who I am, not for my family's money. Naively, I believed they would appreciate me that way, but I was wrong. We decided to meet Jack's parents at a fancy restaurant. Jack held my hand as we walked in. I wore my engagement ring on a necklace to keep it close but not obvious. When we reached our table, his parents already seemed annoyed. Jack warned me they were strict about punctuality, and we were 2 minutes late. Not a good start. His parents gave me a quick look of disapproval and then ignored me while they talked to Jack. I felt really small in their presence. The longer they ignored me, the more I wanted to leave. I kept quiet until Jack finally introduced me. "Mom, Dad, you can't just talk to me. This is my wonderful girlfriend, Jennifer." "Oh, hello. It's a pleasure to meet both of you," I said. "Hi. I wish I could say the same." "Mom, what?" "I'm just telling the truth. So Jennifer, Jack mentioned you both met in college. Is that correct?" "Yes, we did. We had some classes together." "And how did you manage to afford that college? It's known for its high tuition and selectivity." "Dad, that's enough." "Jack, don't speak to your father like that. He's asking a reasonable question. Jennifer, please answer." "I had a full scholarship. I'm really grateful for the opportunity because I learned a lot and met Jack, which has been wonderful." "Well, meeting Jack must be one of the best things that's happened to you. He's wealthy and you seem to need that kind of money. At least you're smart because your looks aren't all that impressive, you know." "You know what? That's enough. We're leaving. Come on, Jennifer." Jack grabbed my hand and we walked out. I was shocked by how his parents had treated me. It was hard to believe that people could be so openly mean to someone's face. I was too stunned to even process my feelings. The car ride home was silent because Jack was furious. When we got home, Jack made sure I was okay, but honestly, I didn't know how to feel at that moment. I had dressed nicely and behaved politely. I didn't order anything extravagant, yet Rose and Tom had already formed their opinion of me without even talking to me. After that incident, Jack didn't speak to his parents for a while. They texted him, accusing us of disrespect for leaving lunch early. Jack didn't reply until a month later when he texted them to announce our engagement. After threatening his parents with no contact if they opposed me, They'd offered to pay for our wedding under the condition they made all the decisions. Jack and I didn't want that, so we chose to elope instead. My parents, who were in Europe, were supportive and even sent us a generous gift. Jack was surprised by the expensive painting they sent, but I didn't think much of it given their wealth. After getting married, we attended a party hosted by Rose and Tom to celebrate their anniversary. Despite their previous disapproval, I was actually glad they invited me. However, when we arrived, I was completely ignored by everyone there. It was more humiliating than being ignored by just two people. I stuck close to Jack, but no one made an effort to talk to me. If I tried to join a conversation, people either ignored me or walked away, or they continued chatting with Jack without acknowledging me. By the end of the night, I was in tears. I felt humiliated and deeply hurt by everyone's behavior. The crowd asked Rose and Tom to give a speech, and as they spoke, I felt increasingly exhausted and just wanted to leave. However, their speech began with gratitude for everyone in the room except me. It felt like a series of jabs directed at me, which the guests found amusing. Unable to bear it any longer, I got up and left. I took an Uber home, crying the whole way until Jack returned. When he arrived, he seemed upset and frustrated. "Why did you walk out like that? Do you realize how embarrassing that was for me?" "What? What are you talking about?" "Don't pretend you don't understand, Jennifer. I had to endure my parents yelling at me and the guests pitying me for being with you." "Are you serious? What about how humiliating it was for me?" "Come on, Jennifer. You could have toughed it out for one night. It was my parents' anniversary after all." "I was ignored by everyone, and your parents chose to mock me in their speech. How could I possibly be okay with that? I'm not saying what they did was right, but you could have just endured it. I would have talked to them about it afterward. What good would that have done for me? I don't like being in situations where I'm humiliated. Everyone was laughing at me. You've never experienced that, so it's easy for you to brush this off. My parents and I expect an apology from you." "I'm not apologizing unless they apologize to me first." "You want an apology? I don't see why I should apologize to you. You've always defended me before. Why is this any different?" "This is different because you embarrassed my family in front of everyone. And your parents humiliated me, your wife, in front of all their guests. Maybe my parents were right about you. You're impossible." With that, Jack went to sleep in the guest bedroom. I couldn't understand why he suddenly changed his attitude. Was it really that hard for him after I walked out? He always defended me, especially when his parents criticized me. For me to leave should have shown how hurt I was, but Jack didn't seem to care about that. Jack continued to give me the silent treatment for the next week. Meanwhile, I received numerous texts from his parents accusing me of being ungrateful and embarrassing. I tried to talk to Jack, but he refused. Eventually, I reluctantly apologized to both him and his parents, even though it felt degrading. I did it because I loved Jack and didn't want this issue to ruin our relationship. However, things only got worse from there. Jack's parents retired and began hosting weekly family dinners. Jack always attended, and the first time he took me along, the atmosphere was tense the moment I entered. Rose was preoccupied and didn't notice me immediately, but Tom and Jack's siblings awkwardly glanced at me without saying a word. Jack left me standing alone while he caught up with his family. When Rose came downstairs, she saw me and immediately stormed over in anger. "What are you doing here?" "Excuse me?" "No, I won't excuse you." "Why are you in my house right now?" "We were invited for dinner." "Wrong. I invited Jack because this is a family dinner." "I'm Jack's wife, so I'm part of this family, right?" "Absolutely not. Someone like you, an orphan, has no place in this family." "What? You thought you could keep that detail from us? We do background checks on our children's spouses, and you don't measure up to our standards. I will never accept you here." "Why not? Surely there's more to being part of your family than just background checks. You're not attractive and you're not wealthy. You could never fit into our social circles. Why are you so focused on superficial things? Are you afraid I'll damage your reputation just by being myself? Doesn't my making Jack happy matter to you? If happiness made money, everyone would be rich. This is why you don't belong with us. Maybe I'll never be as superficial as the rest of you because I care about who people really are. You never gave me a chance before judging me. I'm glad I don't fit in with you." "Jennifer, that's enough. Here's some money. Get yourself an Uber and leave." I stared at Jack in disbelief as he handed me the money. Tears welled up in my eyes as I walked out and cried in the Uber again. I couldn't understand why Jack had changed so suddenly. Was he trying to appease his parents after the party? Whatever it was, I felt hurt and angry at him. He stood by while his parents insulted my past, something he usually defended me from. I wanted to scream and shout, but I knew it wouldn't help. Instead, I walked away. I reflected on whether I had said anything wrong, but I couldn't see how. I was just standing up for myself, calmly at that. Jack continued not to speak to me after he came home. My heart was breaking, and I felt utterly alone. I knew he expected me to apologize again, but I couldn't bring myself to do it like last time. Rose had insulted me deeply, and Jack seemed angry at me for it. If anything, I felt like he owed me an apology. For the next 2 weeks, Jack and I didn't talk. It was tough at first, but I eventually got used to it. His family's dinners continued, and I found myself home alone most evenings, which honestly didn't bother me. Hey Dad, hey Mom, things aren't going well. Why? What's wrong, sweetie? If you need help with anything, just let us know. I don't think this is something you guys can help with, but thanks for offering. Where's Jack? Isn't he helping? That's the issue. He's part of the problem. Could you explain what's going on, sweetie? Well, his parents are wealthy and very snobbish. Oh, we can't stand people like that. Tell me about it. Anyway, they saw me as some poor girl who could never measure up to their standards or fit into their elite circles, so they made a point to humiliate me every chance they got. Damn, that's awful. Oh, and last time I was there, Jack's mom decided to insult me by calling me an orphan. That woman, I want to give her a piece of my mind. How dare she say that about my precious child? Don't they know about us? And what has Jack been doing through all this? I didn't tell them about you guys because I knew it would change their opinion of me, and I wanted them to like me for who I am, not for my background. And as for Jack, he's taking their side. He thinks I was out of line for standing up for myself. Honey, are you sure this is the man you want to be with? I love him a lot, but this isn't how I imagined things. We haven't spoken in 2 weeks, and surprisingly, I'm okay with that. All right, sweetie, I'll connect you with one of my friends there. Don't worry about us not being able to help. Actually, we might be able to help you get some sweet revenge. Huh? What do you mean? Your dad and I are coming there next week. We originally planned a vacation for you and Jack, but now it'll just be us. More time for us to do things together, I suppose. Really? Oh my God, I'm so excited to see both of you in person again. That lifted my spirits. Finally, I felt happy after so long. The three of us continued chatting. Dad discussed his plan to assist me. Eventually, he asked about the location of these dinners Jack's parents hosted. As far as I knew, they alternated between their home and restaurants. Conveniently, the upcoming week's dinner was scheduled at a restaurant. I needed to find out where exactly it would be held so I could tell my parents. Luckily, Jack's email was logged into my phone, and knowing Rose and Tom, they loved to email everyone everything. It wasn't difficult to find the location, and I passed it on to my parents. My parents landed in the States and checked into their hotel, where I met them. We had lunch together, and then they treated me to a spa day they paid for because they thought I deserved it. Meanwhile, my mom's lawyer friend helped me start the divorce process. Later, my parents walked into the restaurant where Jack and his family were dining. According to Dad, as they approached the table, Tom and Rose started whispering to each other, recognizing Dad. Mom later told me how their conversation unfolded. Hello. Oh my gosh, Mr. Burns, what brings you here? Oh, I just happened to see some familiar faces and thought I'd drop in to join you for dinner. Familiar faces? Who are you referring to, Mr. Burns? Well, I see Jack here. Me? Well, hello. It's a pleasure to meet you. Your daughter talks about you a lot. But speaking of my daughter, where is she? Your daughter? I'm sorry, but I don't think she's here. But shouldn't she be here? I'm sorry, Mr. Burns, but we weren't aware you had a daughter. Of course I do, and she's married to Jack. What? I'm sorry, but I think you're mistaken. Yes, his wife's name is Jennifer, and she was an orphan. Yes, I do know that, and that's why we adopted her. Excuse me, you're her dad. Yes, and from what I see, she isn't here. She's been telling me there have been issues with her in-laws, and now I understand what the problem is. It's you. No, she was the one who kept this major thing from us. If we had known, we would have treated her differently. She didn't want you to treat her nicely because of her background. Anyway, she asked me to give this to Jack. With those words, my dad handed Jack the divorce papers and walked out. Afterward, it only took a few phone calls from many investors to withdraw their support from Tom's business. Their empire quickly crumbled, and nothing was more satisfying than seeing them fall to the levels they once ridiculed. I received numerous texts from Jack's family, hurling insults at me, while some begged me to intervene and undo what my dad had done. Thankfully, Jack signed the divorce papers without any resistance. Afterwards, my parents and I went on a long vacation. I had an amazing time and started to heal slowly. Losing the love of my life hurt, but I also learned the importance of standing up for myself. I'm deeply thankful to my parents for everything they've done, and I'm excited to see what else life has in store for me.